Well, a big issue in 2024 was USDA's push for climate-smart ag practices. Well, the department poured $3 billion tax dollars, that is, into getting farmers to enroll in projects to reduce emissions and sequester carbon. And with a new administration now in office, many are wondering what lies ahead. Well, Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law joins us now for more on this. Roger, always a pleasure. A little background on this effort under the previous administration. Let's start there.
Well, good to be with you, Suzanne. The viewers and listeners might remember that in recent past years, events in the Netherlands and in Europe and Sri Lanka, there were protests by farmers there that faced onerous regulations and loss of property rights. Well, in the U.S., this current USDA effort from the past couple of years flows from the SEC plans in 2022 to force all publicly traded companies to submit an environmental social governance report, that ESG report. 5 months later, the USDA's project was announced to do ESG on the ag side.
So what impact, when we look at this, had for both farmers and consumers?
Well, once those climate smart practices are incentivized, they'll be monitored and then they'll be measured and then they'll be regulated. And one recent study found, as a result of the USDA's climate agenda, a typical family of four would have to spend about $1,300 annually for food, and an extra $1,300 annually for food. And the study also explained that the USDA's climate agenda would result in higher costs for diesel and propane and fertilizer and other ag production inputs.
So what do we learn when we talk about pushing for climate smart ag? What's the ag community saying on this?
Well, one recurring theme I hear, Suzanne, and I've already done 10 farmer events this year already, is that they just want to be left alone. I hear that over and over. They don't like being manipulated and labeled. Some feel that this is labeling them if they don't do these government-approved practices. And many say, well, we've done these all the time before and have never been compensated for it. The smaller operations, I also hear, fear being regulated out of business. They worry about the compliance cost.
So now, of course, new leadership, new policies, and, well, that can all change. How do you see this really affecting the situation here and playing out?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's anticipated that the new administration and leadership at the USDA will be more focused on spending taxpayer dollars in a more efficient and targeted manner. We've seen that already with DOGE and what they've been doing. And indeed, USDA has been directed in the past week to scrub all the climate change commentary from its website. And just a couple of days ago, the environmental justice programs at EPA have been cut and those employees laid off. So I think it's going to be interesting, Suzanne, to see the shape of the Farm Bill in 2025. What we're seeing now could have an impact on the policy direction that ultimately ends up in the Farm Bill. I don't think these incentives will go away. I just think it's going to be retooled and probably end up more from a policy standpoint rather than just an administrative agency regulatory standpoint.
That definitely makes sense. Final words for farmers and ranchers wondering, especially for farmers right now that really have been involved in this program, wondering what to do, left scratching their heads on this.
Well, that's the unknown right now. Not sure. And again, I would cycle back to say that this is probably something that's going to be wound into a farm bill that elected representatives are going to vote on rather than top-down regulation by unelected bureaucrats. That's definitely the direction things are headed in D.C. right now.
Final words, as you're keeping an eye on everything, I'm sure it's hard to keep track.
It's an interesting day every day you wake up these days.
All right, Roger, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Roger McEowen with the Washburn School of Law. We do appreciate your time.